Okay, Frankenstein, which is the new film from Guillermo del Toro, who's the Mexican genius behind Kronos, Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, Shape of Water. I mean, if you're a regular listener, you'll know how much I love Guillermo's stuff. So this is adapted from Mary Shelley's much adapted Gothic novel, which was famously published originally without her name. And the film, as all adaptations have done, takes several liberties with the text in as much as that it changes key things in the text. But I think it is strangely faithful to the tone of the source. The central theme of the story is, a scientist playing God, creating life, which he then abandons in horror, leaving this creature who is bereft and becomes bent on vengeance, but more importantly, is lonely and wretched and in need of companionship. And the oft-repeated trope is that people confuse Frankenstein. Like if you see somebody, with a square head and you think, oh, that's Frankenstein. I go, no, that's not Frankenstein. That's the creature. Frankenstein is the creator. So as with the source, you get shifting points of view. So this opens with captain of the ship en route to the North Pole, encountering a bedraggled Victor, played by Oscar Isaac, who is locked in this kind of endless pursuit with his own creation, played by Jacob Elordi, across the Arctic ice. And then Victor then tells his story, the story of how his beloved mother died when he was young, how he became obsessed with overcoming death, how he breathed life into reanimated body parts, and then became, as I said, locked in this ongoing battle with his nemesis. And then the film then changes perspective to the creature's story. The creature says, okay, he's told his story, this is my story, and now we see the events. I said, well, this is all kind of inherent in the Shelley, from the point of view of the poor wretch who is created and is then abused by the egomaniacal Victor, cast out into a hostile world, denied friendship or companionship, which is the thing that he needs. Here's a clip.
I remember pieces, memories of different men. Then I saw it, your name. Victor Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein, yeah, you had to do that, didn't you? But as I said, so basically using kind of key elements from the book, I mean, but at the same time, taking those elements and making them very, very Guillermo. So this has been going on for a very long time. The creature role was originally earmarked for Doug Jones. Then I think Benedict Cumberbatch, who played both the creature and creator in that Danny Boyle stage version. And then Andrew Garfield and now Jacob Elordi, because the project, when I first met Guillermo back in the 90s, he was talking about doing Frankenstein. Other key roles in the version which is finally made to the screen, Mia Goth as the fiancée of Victor's brother, William, Charles Dance as Victor's bullying father, Christoph Waltz as Heinrich Hollander, who's this arms dealer who is the uncle to Elizabeth and also the benefactor of Victor, who's got very, very personal reasons for wanting Victor to overcome death. So Guillermo has basically been circling this story, as I said, for decades. I mean, he cites as inspirational James Whale's Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. He said that Christopher Lee really nailed the idea of the emptiness of the creature. Famously said that Frank Darabont's script, Frank Darabont wrote the original script for Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein, and Frank Darabont described that as the best script I ever wrote and the worst film I ever saw. And Guillermo had read Frank Darabont's script, which is online. I mean, it's become quite celebrated now, and described it as pretty much perfect. And I met Guillermo just recently and said that he said that Frank Darabont had seen this, and there is clearly a kind of a thematic comparison between what Guillermo has done with this and what Frank Darabont was trying to do with his script. I mean, the thing is, there was an interview with Frank Darabont in which he said that his script for Frankenstein, it was to do with whispers and nuances, but by the time it got to the screen, it was like these overblown operatics. This version doesn't skimp on operatics. I mean, there are plenty of big set pieces, boats in ice, vast towers, lightning, echoes in tone of Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, to give it its correct title. And in fact, I think when they first showed footage from this, I think they preview screened it with some of the music from Coppola's Dracula. But the key thing is that for all the showy theatrics, of which there are plenty, the key tone is melancholia and loneliness. And the film's got this epic visual scale, but it focuses very specifically on the misery and isolation of the character. And the creature being driven mad by being abandoned by their father, which is a dynamic which is set up very clearly in the relationship between Charles Dance's father and Oscar Isaac's Victor. I mean, this is very much about the sins of the father coming back to haunt. But the other thing that's in there, I think this is really important, is this version has a redemptive arc to it. And there is a moment in the film in which Victor refers to the ninth configuration. Okay, now, this is a shout out to a movie which I love, which Paul Thomas Anderson loves, which Guillermo del Toro loves, and which was written and directed by William Peter Blatty and has been seen by almost nobody else. And it is an absolutely brilliant movie, basically, which is like an existential theological thriller about the argument for the existence or non-existence of God. And it is absolutely about redemption. And of course, Guillermo del Toro has always had this thing that was brought up with that Catholic sense of guilt and redemption. And when he flags the ninth configuration in this, I mean, my heart leapt a little bit because it's like, oh, he just said the ninth configuration. It's not a throwaway thing, though. It's flagging up that what's happening in Guillermo's retelling of this story is that there is a redemptive arc in it. I mean, to me, that was kind of the lighthouse in the middle of the fog, that this is the heart of the film. I mean, I think as a piece of filmmaking, it is as accomplished as anything you'd expect from Guillermo del Toro. I mean, everyone has probably seen a Guillermo del Toro film. We know that he knows how to stage a good story, and he's always got this thing about, you know, the sympathy with monsters, in this case with the creature. And there's been lots of praise for the lead performances here. I think a particular shout out is due to Mia Goth, who is the most mesmerizing screen presence. I mean, just really, really strange, and fantastic costume design. These kind of Shirley Russell-esque costumes, I think Kate Hawley's costume designer. Christoph Waltz kind of anchoring the whole thing in economics and making it all kind of very down to earth. I mean, I am predisposed to like Guillermo's work. But he said himself that he was worried about Frankenstein because, in a way, when you finally do the thing that you've been wanting to do all the time, that's it. Once you've done it, you've done it. But I think this was worth waiting for. I think it's emotional, and I think it, for all the bigness, for all the grandeur, for all the Gothic visuals and the set pieces and the costume design and the way it looks, it is essentially what Shelley's story is about, which is two sides of this story, two characters locked in this thing, the creator and the creation. And it is about, you know, when God abandons their creature, what does that leave the creature to do? And, you know, the modern Prometheus aspect of it is one thing, but it's what happens when you create something and then turn your back on it. And I think it's a really fine adaptation. It's not definitive because there is no definitive screen adaptation of Frankenstein, because the novel is so complex and there's so much going on in it. But I think that what Guillermo has done is to take the right elements, which are often elements that are not used in the movies, and make them his own.